Imagine having a superpowered assistant, someone who could just dive into pages and pages of really dense info, pull out the absolute highlights, the mind-blowing stuff, and then just chat with you about it.
Well, that's pretty much what we're setting out to do today.
Exactly. We are taking a deep dive into the August 2025 CPA Flight Lines newsletter. It's packed with updates for the aviation community.
It really is a treasure trove, you could say.
Our mission, then, is to pull out the most important bits of knowledge, the key insights. We're talking game-changing regulations, things that reshape who can fly and what they can fly.
And also those really inspiring community stories. They really show the power of connection, the passion in aviation.
Yeah, the newsletter does a great job distilling all that, from the big FAA shifts right down to the real spirit of the community. It gives you a really good snapshot.
A very condensed, impactful overview of what's actually happening out there.
Okay, let's jump in. Because the thing that really stood out right from the start, reading Adrian Nye's President's Corner, he was just back from Oshkosh 2025.
Right. The big FAA news.
Yeah, the FAA's final rule for MOSAIC. I mean, the sheer size of it. The rule itself is, what, 717 pages?
Staggering, isn't it? 717 pages. And it's already starting to make waves, Big changes for general aviation. Some are effective right now. Others kick in July 2026.
So what's the headline change here? What's got everyone talking?
Well, the really significant thing is how MOSAIC basically rewrites the definition of a light sport aircraft. The original proposal, it used a 54 knots VS1 stall speed.
Right. VS1, so clean configuration, flaps up, gear up.
Right.
That limited things quite a bit.
Exactly. But now the final rule uses a 61 knot VSO. That's the dirty stall speed, flaps down, gear extended, maximum calibrated. And honestly, that shift, it took a lot of people by surprise.
61 knots VSO. Okay, that is a big difference. So unpack that for us. What does this actually mean for the planes already out there? Are we suddenly seeing a whole load of existing aircraft qualify as light sport?
That's precisely it. This new stall speed means a whole bunch of existing certified GA aircraft. They now fit the light sport definition.
Like, what kind of planes are we talking about?
Well, popular ones. Think Cessna 182s, Mooney 201s, even some twins like the Beech Duchess.
Wow, even multis.
Yeah. And what's really surprising is it includes complex aircraft too. Retractable gear, constant speed props, things that were traditionally miles away from the light sport category.
That's huge. So the practical effect for pilots is more choice.
Immense choice, greater accessibility to a much wider range of aircraft, all potentially flyable under sport pilot privileges.
That sounds like, like a real revival for the sport pilot certificate, doesn't it? It felt a bit restricted before, kind of niche because of the limited aircraft types.
It absolutely feels like that. MOSAIC makes the sport pilot certificate genuinely relevant again. It's like a lower barrier to entry for becoming a pilot, makes it more accessible.
So more people might actually complete the training now.
Exactly. They can complete it and, crucially, fly more practical, commonly available airplanes. And get this, the new rule even allows for night and IFR flight under sport pilot privileges.
Whoa, hold on. Night and IFR for sport pilots.
Yeah.
That's massive.
Monumental change.
Though I can almost hear the counter-argument now, the one mentioned in the newsletter. The downside, quote-unquote, of potentially seeing very inexperienced pilots flying around. How is that being addressed? Is it just about access, or are there thoughts on, extra training or checks?
It's a valid point and definitely a hot topic. The FAA insists safety is still number one, even with expanded access.
Okay.
For private pilots, the big draw is potentially flying without a medical or basic med. If they operate under sport pilot rules in an aircraft with a VX1 clean stall speed of 59 knots or less, which still includes planes like the 182, by the way, they can do that.
So flexibility for existing pilots, too.
Right, but the emphasis is still on proper training and pilot responsibility. Those new privileges, night and IFR, they require specific additional endorsements.
Ah, okay, so it's not automatic.
No, not at all. The expectation is pilots will get the necessary training for whatever they want to do, regardless of the certificate level.
Makes sense. And what about the maintenance side? Does MOSAIC change things for owners wanting to do their own work?
Ah, yes. Maintenance. That's another critical area with big implications. A light sport repairman rating. Well, it requires much less training time than a full A&P mechanic.
Right.
So under MOSAIC, these repairmen will potentially be able to maintain a wider range of aircraft. This could make it more practical for owners to get that rating and do more of their own maintenance.
Could be in the operative word.
Exactly. Because here's the catch. This really only applies cleanly to new aircraft certified as SLSA or ELSA, Special or Experimental Light Sport.
Not the existing Cessnas or Moonies that now just happen to meet the stall speed definition.
Correct. Those existing normal or utility category aircraft, even though they're now considered light sport performance-wise, still fall under their original certification maintenance rules. You can't just switch to ELSA maintenance rules for your old 182.
Okay, that's a really important distinction. And it leads right into that point about the FAA using the same term light sport for two different things. That sounds confusing.
It undoubtedly will be. It's fascinating, really. On one hand, light sport describes the performance envelope bigger, faster, complex planes fitting under MOSAIC now. Many are existing certified types.
Got it.
On the other hand, light sport still refers to the original certification category SLSA, ELSA aircraft built specifically to those standards, with different manufacturing and maintenance rules.
So, same name, two very different sets of rules depending on the context. Yeah, that'll require some careful navigation, especially on the maintenance side.
Absolutely. Pilots and mechanics will need to be really clear on which light sport they're dealing with.
So, MOSAIC is opening doors, expanding possibilities. But flying still costs money, right?
Yeah.
Especially building your own plane. Adrian and I touched on the economics, too, in some of those numbers.
Indeed. The cost increases for home-built kits are pretty eye-watering. The newsletter gives specific examples. Remember the Sling High Wing kit? Vaguely.
At Oshkosh 2022, it was around $90,000.
Yeah.
$150,000.
Good grief. That's a huge jump.
And that's just the kit. Add the Rotax 916 engine, that's another $60,000, plus some unknown tariff that could add tens of thousands more.
Is that just inflation, or are there other factors pushing these prices up so fast? Supply chain, maybe.
It seems to be a mix. General inflation is definitely part of it, but aviation's been hit hard by supply chain issues too, particularly for specialized stuff like engines and avionics.
Right.
Plus, there's increased demand, and maybe some manufacturers are investing in new processes. It all adds up. Look at the Vans RV-15 kit. That's maybe $75K to $100K.
Okay.
Then you need the engine. A Lycoming IO390. That's $80,000 now.
$80,000 for the engine alone.
Yep. So you factor in the prop, avionics, paint, all the bits and pieces. Both those planes easily push past $250,000 to complete.
$250,000. That's a serious investment. Still cheaper than a new certified plane, I guess. But
Yeah.
Significant. Very significant. It really highlights the need for careful financial planning if you're going down the experimental route these days. It might mean longer build times, maybe more people looking at partnerships.
Makes sense. Okay, so you've built or bought your plane. You've navigated MOSAIC.
Yeah.
Now you need somewhere to keep it. A hangar.
Ah, yes, the hangar conundrum, as Adrian Nye puts it.
He takes a pretty strong stance, doesn't he? Says there's still plenty being used just for storage cars, boats, whatever. And he argues that's against local and FAA policy pretty much everywhere.
It's a long-standing issue. Hangar space is scarce. And seeing it used for non-aviation purposes when pilots need space for actual aircraft is frustrating for many.
And then he dropped that bombshell question, asking the community, CPA members, what they think about offering a bounty for photos of hangars being misused. Essentially asking, should we become the hangar police?
Yeah, it's provocative for sure. It's clearly designed to spark a debate. How far should the community go to enforce the intended use of airport facilities? Is it up to organizations like CPA, or should it be left to airport management and the FAA, even if enforcement seems lacking?
It definitely raises questions about community enforcement versus, personal space and maybe even privacy. A really interesting, if potentially divisive, topic.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see the response to that.
Beyond those big debates, there were some other key community updates, too. The CPA membership directory final month to opt in. That's a change, right? Privacy focus?
That's right. New policy, you have to actively say yes to be included and share your info with other members. It's a quick opt-in process online.
Good to know. And on the Stindy side?
The mountain flying and high elevation airport operations course is highlighted again. It's got a long history, started back in '86 by the Colorado Pilots Association.
Still relevant, I imagine.
Critically relevant. Accident stats unfortunately show the risks of flying in the mountains without specific training. This course aims to address that directly, boost knowledge and skills for operating safely in high terrain. Essential for flying around here.
Definitely. They also mentioned a CPA Presents event with the Cessna Pilots Association, focusing on systems and maintenance, an RTCC seat-in tour, and a hangar potluck in September. Sounds like a busy group.
Very active. Lots going on.
Now let's shift gears a bit to some really inspiring stuff.
Yeah.
What Bill Marvel, the fly-in chair, calls the magic of engagement. First, this really unique event, the Aviation Archaeology Field Exercise.
Oh, yeah, that sounded fascinating. Run by the Colorado Aviation Historical Society, it's a free half-day trip open to anyone.
And they visit actual historic sites.
Exactly, like the 1970 Wichita State Martin 404 crash site, which is way up there, about 11,200 feet. You hike in with experts who explain the history, the archaeology. It's a real hands-on history lesson.
Wow, and you get a challenge coin, too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Demanding hike, though, I bet.
Definitely challenging, but what an opportunity to connect directly with aviation history.
Fantastic idea. And speaking of connections, there's also a chance to meet AOPA's new president, Darren Pleasance. That's coming up August 23rd.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal for the community. A chance to hear his vision for GA directly from the top at AOPA.
Hear about their mission, protecting the freedom to fly, supporting pilots in airports.
Exactly. It's important to engage, hear the direction, maybe ask some questions about where things are headed.
From leadership engagement to real grassroots action, the call for volunteers for Challenge Air's Denver Fly Day on September 13th really stood out.
Oh, absolutely. Challenge Air does incredible work. Their whole mission is changing perceptions of kids with special needs by giving them the experience of flight.
Helping them find courage, build self-esteem. The idea that if I can fly a plane, I can do anything.
It's powerful stuff. Last year, they flew 54 participants, and they've already got 60 signed up this year, so they really need help.
Okay.
Both pilots donating their time, their plane, fuel for maybe 20-minute flights, and also ground crew, what they call load team volunteers, to help the kids get safely on and off the planes.
And CPA's education committee is involved too.
Yeah, they'll be there with a flight simulator, adding another fun element for the kids. It's just a fantastic event all around.
Brilliant way to give back. And that spirit, that community effort, really ties into Bill Marvel's article, Engage and Sometimes Magic Happens.
Yeah.
About the fly-in to Hot Springs, South Dakota.
Right. It started almost randomly, discovering Wind Cave National Park nearby.
But then they hit a snag.
A big one. No rental cars available locally in Hot Springs. The nearest place was Rapid City, an hour away and super expensive. Looked like a potential showstopper.
So how did the magic happen?
This is where engaging with the local airport manager, a guy named Ivan Venner, made all the difference. He runs the city airport there.
Oh.
Once they explained the problem, the local community just stepped up. It's an amazing story.
Like how?
Well, Ivan arranged for 3 city cars to be used. He offered his own personal truck. And then get this, the owner of a local retirement facility offered their 16-passenger bus.
No way. A 16-passenger bus.
Yeah, but it needed a CDL driver.
Yeah.
So Ivan, the airport manager, he drove the bus himself for the group.
That is absolutely incredible. Talk about going above and beyond.
Totally. And others chipped into the Chamber of Commerce, an airport engineering firm. They all helped out.
So the transportation hurdle was completely overcome by local support. Were there other unexpected perks?
Oh, yeah. Because of those local connections, they got to do things like tour a local experimental aircraft builder, Badlands Traveler. They arranged flights over Mount Rushmore, got personal gift bags. It turned into a really special, unique experience.
Oh, because they reached out locally.
Exactly. That's Bill Marvel's key point. Engage, and sometimes magic happens. It's such a powerful lesson, not just for fly-ins, but for anything in aviation. Building those local connections can make amazing things possible, solve problems you thought were insurmountable.
What a great story. And a great takeaway. Okay, let's look back quickly at some other recent fly-ins and then peek ahead. The newsletter recapped a few. Sounded like fun.
Definitely. Kremling, Colorado, they had rafting on the Colorado River, aviation bingo, good mountain fun.
And Butte, Montana.
Yeah.
A first-time visit for CPA.
Yeah, first time in Butte. Timed it for the 4th of July Freedom Festival. They explored the mining history, the huge Berkeley pit, the World Museum of Mining, and that underground city tour.
Including Evil Knievel's jail cell. Still can't quite get over that detail.
Yeah, a quickie bit of local history thrown in. But the real showstopper recap was from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Ah, yes. The special aviation treat. Touring the Burt Aviation Museum, which is great in itself, but then...
Spending hours with Burt Rutan.
I mean, Burt Rutan, that's legendary stuff.
Absolutely. An aviation icon. The newsletter calls him the foremost aircraft designer since the Wright brothers, which, yeah, hard to argue. Winner of the Collier Prize twice for Voyager and Spaceship One.
Incredible achievement. So they actually got to hang out with him.
For hours, apparently. He showed them his current projects, a new amphibious plane he's working on, and even a flying car right there in his personal hangar.
Wow. Just wow. Seeing Rutan's current work in his own space. What a once-in-a-lifetime event, as they called it. I wonder what that was like.
The write-up emphasized just how inspiring it was, seeing his innovative thinking, his hands-on approach. It apparently got everyone buzzing about the future, especially that flying car project. A real sense of renewed excitement about pushing boundaries.
I can only imagine. Okay, so after rubbing shoulders with genius, what's next? What's on the horizon? Something about Kansas in space.
That's the one. The next big fly-in is Hutchinson, Kansas, October 10th to 12th, 2025. Sounds like another unique trip.
What's on the agenda?
Planned activities include a private group lunch, hitting up some local breweries and ice cream spots, and exploring the Strataka Salt Museum.
Salt Museum.
Yeah, it takes you 650 feet underground into this massive salt deposit, miles of tunnels. Pretty unique experience.
Definitely sounds different. But the main draw is...
The Kansas Cosmosphere. It's supposed to be absolutely world-class. The Artemis II crew apparently called it the best space museum on planet Earth.
high praise.
Seriously. Its collection of U.S. space artifacts is apparently second only to the National Air and Space Museum in D.C. You can see the actual flown Apollo 13 command module, Odyssey, an SR-71 Blackbird hanging from the ceiling, a full-scale space shuttle replica.
Okay, that sounds incredible for anyone interested in spaceflight.
Totally. Plus visits to an art gallery called the Clayworks and a group dinner at a place called Carriage Crossing in an Amish community nearby.
Wow, quite a mix. Salt mines, spacecraft, and Amish country.
Yeah, sounds like a really interesting itinerary. And the cost mentioned is $120 per person, which seems pretty reasonable for everything included. Definitely one for people to consider.
So we've covered a lot today from this newsletter, from MOSAIC completely changing the light sport landscape to the sticker shock of building experimental planes.
Right, through the hangar debates, those inspiring stories of community engagement making magic happen.
And reliving some amazing flying adventures like meeting Burt Rutan and looking ahead to exploring space history in Kansas. It's been quite a sweep.
It really has. It shows just how much is going on in the GA world right now.
Which brings us to a final thought. With the FAA basically redrawing the lines with MOSAIC, redefining light sport, opening up these new ways to fly different kinds of planes, what does that spark for your flying? What new routes, new challenges, or maybe even new aircraft does that make you think about for the future?